Hello everyone, welcome to Rising Stars YouTube channel. Today we're going to be reading a story, and the story is called The Spacesuit, How a Seamstress Helped Put Man on the Moon. Okay, so this story is based on a real life story of a girl called Ellie. Okay, so you have to look at the pictures and listen carefully. Okay, and then in the end I'll tell you where you can get this book. I can tell you where a grown-up can get this book for you, okay? Whether it's your mom and dad or another grown-up who looks after you, okay? So, let us start. I'll hold it like this and I'll show you the picture and also read. This is Ellie. She helped change the world with a needle and thread many years ago. Ellie loved to design and sew from a young age. As a child, she felt her fingers come alive the first time she used a sewing machine. She threaded the needle and pressed the foot pedal. 2, 3, 2, 1, blast off. Maybe you can ask your mommy and your daddy if you have a sewing machine at home. We don't have a sewing machine, but we have needle and thread in our house. And we use it to sew our clothes when they get ripped. Okay? The sewing machine launched her into another universe where fabric could be tucked and tapered and tapered. The whir of the machine filled her imagination with ideas. With hard work, any design was possible. Can you see the machine? That's the machine. And that's Ellie. Okay. As an adult, Ellie got a job sewing clothing for women and babies. Ellie worked quickly and carefully. Her seams were straight and her stitching was neat. An engineer noticed and asked her a question. I have a tailor who makes our clothes. I design them and then they make it for me, for our shop. How would you like to sew spacesuits instead? Ellie couldn't believe her ears. Yes, I would love to. If we win, our spacesuits will go to the moon. Fact. Ellie worked for a company called ILC Dover. Their division Playtex made bras and cloth nappies. So that's what she used to do in real life, the real girl Ellie, okay? Ellie's workplace had entered an exciting competition at the last minute, but it wasn't going to be easy. Big teams of military designers and engineers were also competing. Ellie's team was small and they only had 6 weeks. Many believed that seamstresses could never win, but Ellie ignored them and set to work. Thankfully, Ellie had help. Fact. Should we read the fact? Okay. Fact. It wasn't unusual for the undergarment industry to try new things. In World War I, they designed flight suits for pilots. So they used to try new things. New designs, look. They're all working very hard. She worked with Lenny and his team of engineers. Some engineers were so impressed with the women's sewing that they asked if the seamstresses could teach them how to sew. The seamstresses also shared ideas about how to best make the suit. Ellie looked up old spacesuits. They're hard like armor. Can we make something softer and more comfortable? The engineers started learning how to sew. The answer was yes. The plan was to make a spacesuit with many soft layers. No one has ever made a spacesuit like this before. The spacesuit will have lots of thin layers like an onion. Let's get to work. Spacesuits must protect astronauts from heat and be flexible so they can walk on the moon. It's got oxygen outlet, it's got pressure helmet, and it's got gloves. And the gloves has layers, and then it's nylon layers. It's made out of nylon. That looks very comfy, doesn't it? Let's continue reading. Okay. The seamstresses worked from dawn till dusk. The stitching was slow, and if they made a mistake, the whole suit was thrown out. As the suit got bulkier, the seamstresses complained. Fact. The suits got so bulky that the seamstresses had trouble feeding them through their sewing machine. It was so big because it had so many layers. But they continued working on it. Let's continue with the story and see. 2 gigantic sewing machines appeared. The ladies named them Sweet Sue and Big Mo. Ellie stitched late into the night, Lenny helping by her side. As the competition drew near, the women were exhausted, but everyone pulled together. The women sewed and glued layer after layer until... Should we read the fact? Okay, fact. The seamstresses had to sew within 1/64 of an inch. That is the width of a needle. Look, that is very thin, isn't it? Wow. Okay, let's see what happened. They had 21 layers. Finally, the A7L spacesuit was created. The suits were tested and rushed off to Texas for judging when... I wonder what happened. But let's find out a fact first. Fact. The seamstresses were so proud of the spacesuit that some of them signed their names on the inside. So they wrote their names inside the spacesuit because they were so proud of their work. They did a good job, isn't it? It looks very good. But let's find out what happened at the competition. The judges noticed a broken zip. Ellie and her team were given 12 hours to fix it and return it to the judges. The suit made it just in time with help from an airplane. After many tests, the results were in. Look. So the aeroplane brought the suit back to the competition space. Okay. The first competitor's suit failed because the helmet blew off. The second competitor's suit failed because it was too wide to fit the space capsule. Lastly, the A7L spacesuit. Should we find out what happened? But before that, can we read the fact? The spacesuits were tested in special areas that had reduced gravity, just like the moon. So they tested it in a space that looked just like, and felt just like the moon. Okay. Was named the winner. So they won. Okay. Comfortable, heat resistant, light enough to walk on the moon. Amazing. On 20th July 1969, when Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin walked on the moon, Ellie and her team were nervous. But when she saw them pick up moon rocks and return to the capsule safely, Ellie knew the suits were perfect. Ellie's heart swelled with pride. Yep. So she was happy about her design because it worked. The universe seemed smaller that night. The earth and the moon felt woven together by invisible threads. Stitch by stitch, layer by layer, the A7L spacesuit had changed the world forever. That's the end of the story, but let's see what's on the glossary. Apollo, the name of the space flight that landed on the moon. This was named by Neil Armstrong, Edwin Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins. Astronaut, cosmonaut. A person who goes into space. A cosmonaut is the name for an astronaut of the Soviet or Russian space program. Engineer, someone who designs and makes things. Latex. Latex makes clothing soft and fitted. Okay, just like gloves. JLC Dover Latex. This is the company that made the A7L. They are based in Delaware, USA. Ellie worked for Playtex, which was best known for making undergarments, hat bras, nappies, covers, girdles. Seamstress, a woman who sews for her job. Today, women or men who sew for their jobs can be called a sewer or a garment maker. Very few pins were used in the making of A7L spacesuit. A puncture in the suit could risk an astronaut's life. Ooh, if there was a hole in the clothes, it could make the astronaut poorly, and they could end up being hurt. Okay, an X-ray machine was used to double check that no pins were left behind in the suits. One of the hardest tests of the suit was whether you could stand back up if you fell over. Many of the stitches in the spacesuit had to be done by hand, so they had to use hand for most of it, and then some of it they used the machine. Okay. The A7L was the name of the spacesuit that Ellie worked on. A was for Apollo, NASA's name for moon mission. 7 was the generation of the suit. L was the ILC latex. Okay. Some parts of the spacesuits were made from a similar liquid latex material that was used to make girdles and bras. Okay, so that's the end. You can get this book from maverickbooks.co.uk. So if you like the story, you can ask your mummy and your daddy to get it for you, or a grown-up who looks after you to get it for you from maverickbooks.co.uk. I'm going to put the link in the description box of this video. Okay, that is it. We shall see in the next video when we'll be reading another story. Bye.